All right, so I think we're on the air and ready to go. Good evening, everyone. I'm calling to order this June 9th, 2026 meeting of the Richfield City Council. It's 7 p.m. If you're able, please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And we have approved the agenda. Next, we'll move on to approval of the minutes.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the City Council work session from May 26, 2026, and the City Council meeting from May 26, 2026. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And we have approved both sets of minutes. Our next agenda item is the open forum. Participants can share their comments in person, by voicemail or email, and may also request to participate virtually. For more information on submitting comments, refer to the council agenda and minutes page on richfieldmn.gov/citycouncil. City Clerk Friedrich, did anybody fill out a card or send in information?
I have not received any emails or any cards tonight.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak for open forum? Okay, well then we will move on. Next, we're going to do the proclamations and presentations. And our first proclamation is celebrating Juneteenth, and that was put forward by the Human Rights Commission. So Councilmember Burke is the liaison to that commission, and he'll be receiving it. Thank you. If you could meet me down. This is a proclamation of the City of Richfield. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, declaring that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are, and henceforward, shall be free. And whereas the Emancipation Proclamation did not apply to states loyal to the Union, including border states with considerable enslaved population, and whereas many slaveholders worked to keep word of the proclamation from enslaved persons, and some went so far as to forcefully relocate over 150,000 enslaved black persons into Texas. And whereas on June 19, 1865, over 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued and 2 months after the surrender of the Confederacy, over 250,000 black Americans embraced freedom by executive decree in what became known as Juneteenth, or Freedom Day. And whereas Juneteenth marks our country's second Independence Day, celebrating freedom and justice and emphasizing the achievements of black Americans after gaining their freedom, and whereas in the wake of the Civil War, the Constitution of the United States was amended for the 14th time to include the promise that America will not deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. And whereas the City of Richfield is committed to doing the work required to deconstruct systemic racism, honor the promise of the 14th Amendment, and secure an equitable future for all citizens. And now, therefore, I, Mary Supple, Mayor of Richfield, on behalf of the Richfield City Council, do acknowledge the relevance of June 19th, 1865, as we commemorate on June 19th, 2026, as Juneteenth Freedom Day in the city of Richfield, and call on the people of Richfield to observe this day with appropriate programs, activities, and ceremonies, and continue to honor the contributions of African Americans throughout the year. Proclaim this 9th day of June, 2026. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to a proclamation honoring Ava Wiederholt. And so if she and her mother would join me at the front, that would be awesome. This is a proclamation of the City of Richfield. Whereas the City of Richfield is proud to recognize and celebrate residents who demonstrate community spirit, perseverance, and leadership through their accomplishments and dedication to growth. And whereas Ava Wiederholt, a 17-year-old athlete and Richfield resident, has shown extraordinary dedication and determination in earning a gold medal at the state level in artistic gymnastics and qualifying for the USA Special Olympics Games at the University of Minnesota this June. And whereas Ava's gymnastics journey started at 8 years old and has been fueled by ambition, tenacity, and constant support from her friends, family, and coaches. And whereas gymnastics has helped Ava sharpen her leadership skills with younger kids and new teammates, as well as emboldening her to try new things with confidence. And whereas outside of gymnastics, Ava enjoys dancing, cheerleading, being on the adaptive bowling team, crocheting, bracelet making, and painting. And whereas Ava encourages everyone to get involved with the Special Olympics in some way. There are many different sports from traditional ones, and her advice to inspire young athletes is to always try, never give up, and train hard. And whereas the City of Richfield celebrates Ava's accomplishments and recognizes the pride and inspiration she brings to our residents through leading by example. Now, therefore, I, Mary Supple, Mayor of the City of Richfield, on behalf of the Richfield City Council, do hereby proclaim June 9th, 2026 as Ava Wiederholt Day in the City of Richfield and urge Richfield residents to support the Special Olympics Games through volunteering on the Special Olympics USA website and attending June 20th through the 26th at the University of Minnesota. Proclaim this 9th day of June, 2026. Congratulations, Ava. Thank you. Would you like to say something? Sure, your mom want to say anything? It's up to you. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we'll get a picture. Congratulations. Thank you. And Ava will also be joining us tomorrow night at the summer kickoff from 5 to 7. So if you want to find out more about the Special Olympics, you can come and talk to her then. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the consent calendar, and I'll turn it over to City Manager Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor. The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the City Council in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved. No further council action on these items is necessary. On tonight's consent calendar, item A, approved disbursement and claims. Item B, consideration of a professional services agreement with TC2 to assist the city with the 2050 comprehensive plan update. Item C, resolution supporting the City of Richfield's selection to host a Minnesota Green Corps member. Item D, consider a resolution authorizing the mayor and city manager to execute 2 active transportation grant agreements with the Metropolitan Council. and I submit these items for your consideration as part of the consent calendar tonight. Thank you.
I move to approve this consent calendar.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Hayford O'Leary.
I just wanted to say I'm excited to see the comprehensive plan moving along, and I enjoyed reading through TC2's proposal, and I hope they'll do a great job.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? All in favor of approving the consent calendar, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, and we've approved the consent calendar. Next, we'll move on to item 11A, and I'll turn it over to Councilmember Hayford O'Leary.
Thank you. This item is to consider a policy for use of 4D tax classification as a tool to create and preserve affordable housing. City of Richfield is committed to maintaining Richfield as an affordable place to live and supporting the creation and preservation of housing affordable to a range of income levels. One of the tools the city can use to create and preserve affordable housing for those with lower incomes is the 4D1 tax classification. I'll just say 4D for the rest of this. When the city or its Housing and Redevelopment Authority or Economic Development Authority provides financial assistance to an affordable multifamily property and places rent and income qualifications on the property as a condition of the assistance, the property may qualify for 4D. The 4D classification provides a reduction in the tax classification for the property from 1.25% to 0.25%, resulting in substantial cost savings to the property, which can help facilitate new construction as well as encourage the preservation and rehabilitation of existing affordable rental housing. The cost savings, however, reduces the city's tax capacity and thus shifts the cost to other city taxpayers, so both costs and benefits must be considered. 2 work sessions were held with the City Council and the HRA to discuss the use of 4D and its impacts and provide guidance on a policy the city can use when it has the discretion to approve financing that would qualify a property for 4D. The consensus was that 4D should be a tool of last resort and used only in instances when other funding has been maximized and when the city's highest housing priorities will be met. Policymakers placed the highest priority on maintaining Richfield as an affordable place to live, preserving and rehabilitating existing affordable rental housing, and diversifying the tax base. Based on these priorities, the policy establishes that the use of 4D will be considered to preserve naturally occurring affordable housing that meets a variety of additional housing priority. For example, units that are physically accessible or units with 2 or more bedrooms. In the case of new construction, 4D will only be considered when other financing tools have been exhausted, housing priorities are being met, and it makes financial sense for the city. Does staff have anything to add?
Thank you, Mayor Supple, members of the council. I would just say that the policy obviously goes into much more detail to fully explain the priorities that you have expressed, including those building and unit sizes, accessibility needs, affordability levels, and other items like that. And it also sets out those factors that you will consider when you are faced with any requests for the reduced rate. So the hope is that it provides that guidance for you. I think that you were seeking a year ago to really help you to make good decisions that balance, again, those costs and benefits, and just recommend anyone who is interested in those details to see the policy itself, and we will get that posted on our website. Thank you.
I will make a motion that we adopt a resolution approving a policy governing the use of 4D1 tax classification to help create and preserve affordable housing.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, so we're open for discussion. Is there anything anyone would like to add? Councilmember Hayford O'Leary.
I think staff did a good job balancing the feedback that we gave them, and I think this is generally the right direction. I do have one question for staff. What if a developer that currently owns property is interested in this? Does staff have to basically approve their application to come to council, or do you just kind of have a conversation saying you do or don't think this would be a good match, but either way the question could be brought before us? What is sort of the application process if an existing property wants to get 4D and believes that they qualify?
So, Councilmember Hayford O'Leary, we would follow a similar process whenever somebody comes to us for financial assistance. We have an application that we require people to fill out. We meet with people first. We would talk them through, we would share the policy, talk them through whether we think they're consistent with the policy. Then they fill out an application if they feel like they want to make their case or can make their case. We require an application fee because then we will have our financial consultants review their numbers, and they pay for that. So they have to be serious and really feel like they have a chance. And so we would, as staff, do like to guide people. We don't want people to waste their money if we feel like, this just really doesn't seem consistent at all with the policy. So we do provide guidance. But ultimately, somebody could apply, and we could bring it before you. But we would strongly discourage someone if we felt like staff couldn't support it.
Okay, thank you. And then I would just make a comment, I will be voting to support this, but I will reiterate a comment that I made in the work sessions to my fellow council members, which is just, I think as these individual requests do come forward, if they do go forward and make it to us, it's always going to be harder to say no than say yes, even with this policy. So I think it's really important to remember that we're setting a policy as sort of a collective action that we need to balance the affordability needs with not shifting to like low-income homeowners and other people that pick up the bill without it. So let's bear in mind that there will be pressure to approve this probably no matter what, and we do need to follow these. And I think these are great guidelines, and I hope that they'll be helpful as we have to make these tough decisions going forward.
Other comments or questions? Councilmember Burke.
I found this one of the most complicated things in my short time on city council, and I want to thank staff for really doing the utmost in making it understandable for all of us, and the patience to make it understandable to all of us. I did get to learn about, I think we all got to learn about that fine balance between providing affordable housing, which is clearly a laudable goal and something we should always strive to do, but keeping in the back of our mind that other taxpayers are going to have to take on that burden. One thing that was very helpful is to learn about what properties would be coming off the list of 4D rolls from the past, and so that was very useful also. So again, I want to thank staff in all the education, and I'm very happy to be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? So I also wanted to thank staff. I think that it was important that we took this up when we were not in the middle of an actual proposal, that we took the time over actually a whole year to talk through this and think through all the ramifications and all of the trade-offs, because there are trade-offs either way. I would agree with my fellow council members that affordable housing is a very laudable goal, but we need to consider the tax shift and what might be happening, because there are other cost-burdened households, and so we don't want to get into a thing of robbing Peter to pay Paul. So I think it was very good that we thought about this as all the ramifications without something in front of us. So I think this will be a very helpful tool to use, so I appreciate that. Any other comments or questions? All right, then we will call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? And we've passed the new policy for 4D. Thank you, and thank you to the staff for all the work you put into this to get us the information. Next, we'll move on to item 12A, and I'll turn that over to Councilmember Coleman Woods.
Thank you, Mayor. The item up for consideration is to consider and approve either a 46-day in-person or an 18-day early voting period for 2026 based on new election legislation passed on May 15, 2026. Establish an absentee ballot board with Hennepin County and a city absentee ballot board on election days, and as needed throughout the 46 days of absentee voting. In summary, on May 15, 2026, legislation passed as HF 4240-SF 4006 and was signed by Governor Walz on May 18, 2026, allowing local municipalities to administer either a 46-day mail-in and in-person absentee voting period or an 18-day in-person early voting direct balloting period. Minnesota Statutes 203B.05 was amended to provide local governments the option to designate whether they will administer elections beginning 46 days or 18 days before Election Day. Due to the timing of the amended statute, Hennepin County has requested notice as soon as possible, but no later than the state deadline of June 12, 2026 for 2026 elections. Any future changes to the in-person election administration period must be communicated at least 14 weeks prior to each election cycle in any election year. Richfield's most recent absentee and early voting history report from the state voter registration system for 2024 election cycles show that 19,664 total votes were cast. Of these, approximately 4,283 were mail-in absentee ballots. 5,010 were direct balloting votes cast during the 18-day early voting period, and 10,371 were Election Day polling place votes. It is important to note that absentee ballots must still be available beginning 46 days before each regularly scheduled primary and general election. Municipalities now have an administrative option regarding who administers absentee voting and when the local administration begins, either 46 days or 18 days before Election Day. Election staff will continue to receive absentee ballots from residents who do not want to utilize the United States Postal Service beginning 46 days prior to the election day. Richfield election staff will receive the absentee ballot envelopes and will forward them to Hennepin County. Hennepin County will serve as Richfield's absentee ballot board and will accept or reject absentee ballots during the absentee voting period, June 26th through August 10th and October 16th through November 2nd. The city clerk, administrative assistant, and election specialist will also serve as an absentee ballot board as needed during the 46-day absentee ballot period and on each election day. So option 1 would be full 46-day in-person voting period, 28 days of absentee voting, 18 days of early voting. Option 2 would be 18 days in-person early voting period, previously called direct balloting period, and 18 days of early voting. Staff recommends approval of an 18-day in-person early voting election administration process for the statewide primary and general elections. The city will conduct 18 days of in-person early voting from July 24th through August 10th and from October 16th through November 2nd, respectively, for each election. Staff also recommends appointing Hennepin County as the absentee ballot board for Richfield elections for the 46 days of absentee voting with the city of Richfield. Also establishing an absentee ballot board for the actual primary and general election days and as needed during the 46 days of absentee voting. Is there any discussion from staff?
I'm available for questions if council has any questions.
So do we want to have the discussion ahead of time and then we can decide what we want to do for the motion, since there might be questions on that? All right, so I'm going to open the floor for questions, if anyone, or comments that anyone wishes to make. Councilmember Hafer-Leary.
So staff, just to clarify, people would still be able to submit absentee ballots during that period of time. They just would not be doing it at City Hall. They would mail it in or present it to a Hennepin County office?
That is correct. They would be able to either use the online feature through the state of Minnesota, the Secretary of State feature, and request a ballot that way. They could also stop at the Hennepin County Government Election Center, request a ballot that way. They could take that ballot with them, and then they still have the option of coming in and returning the ballot once it's completed to election staff.
Okay, and then you forward that on to Hennepin County during
That
the
is
time, or-
correct, and we
okay.
would follow the same process for the first 28 days. It's once a week, and the final 18 days, it would be 2 times per week.
Okay. And I mean, I would assume it's just a lot more work to do the full 46 in-house?
It is, it's more work, it's more staff. The security, I feel, is better with just a straight 18 days.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that? Since this is a change because of the legislative session just making this, and so we're making sure we get the communication plan out to the staff, or out to the residents, can you explain how we're going to communicate this?
Yes, so we're going to utilize our weekly email that we send out to staff. It'll be posted on the website. Hennepin County will also be sending something out, a postcard to residents, letting them know. And of course, we'll be available for questions if residents come in for questions.
So then, the second follow-up to Councilmember Hayford O'Leary's question is, we established that there will be somebody here in the council chambers at Municipal Hall accepting absentee ballots. Would it be possible to have either a laptop or the legal kiosk available, so if somebody needs help in how to fill out the application online, like if they don't have a computer at home, they would have an opportunity to apply for it?
Yes, absolutely. We will have a computer available where we're receiving the absentee ballots, and it will be here in the council chambers. I can't determine yet if it will be the actual kiosk that we have that is available for legal use, or if we'll just have a separate laptop here, but it will be one or the other.
Okay, that I think is helpful, because I know some people don't have computers, and I don't want to have roadblocks, but if we have a way that they can put in their applications so that the ballot can be mailed to them, it won't be holding them up from voting. All right, are there other comments or questions? Councilmember Burke.
Will this change at all the way votes are safeguarded by Richfield staff?
It will not. They will still be held in a closed, locked cage, but until we send them to Hennepin County.
This is more of a comment than a question, but I think it's considering that people's voting rights are not being adversely affected by this, while reducing cost to staff and time by staff, and security and safeguards are the same. I will certainly support this.
Other comments or questions?
I agree. I'm also fine with the 18-day period in-house.
Yeah, I would support the 18-day period.
I would also, yes.
Okay, so then it looks like the recommended action wording does not need to be changed if everyone is looking at having consensus that way. So would someone like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, so the motion is to approve a resolution establishing an 8-day in-person early voting administration process for the statewide primary and general elections in Richfield, Minnesota, and appoint Hennepin County as the primary absentee ballot board for Richfield elections for the 46 days of absentee voting, a city absentee ballot board as needed during the 46 days of absentee voting, and a city absentee ballot board for the statewide primary election August 11th, 2026, and the general election November 3rd, 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We can now open it up for any further discussion. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And we have approved the resolution. Thank you. Next, we will move on to the city manager's report. City Manager Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. Next, we'll go on to Hats Off to Hometown Hits. And we'll start with Councilmember Coleman Woods.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give a shout out to all of the graduating seniors of the class of 2026. I am proud of all of the kids that have accomplished all of the things with Richfield High School, of course, and outside of our city, of course, too. It also has a number of graduation parties that they've invited me to. So thank you for considering me in your graduation parties.
All right, Councilmember Christensen.
Yes, I just wanted to remind people that the pool is opening. The city pool down at Veterans Park is opening this Friday, June 12th. And I believe pool passes are still available.
All right, Councilmember Hayford O'Leary.
I'll just say thank you to Pizza Luce for doing their annual Tour de Luce bike ride. I participated for a few of the stops, including, of course, Richfield's. But they do a bike tour, and they sort of suggest a route between all 8 metro area Pizza Luces. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I did 36 miles of it. Did not make it all the way out to Eden Prairie or to St. Paul, but it was a really nice day. Some people did do the full loop, and it was just so great to see so many people participating and so many people on bikes at the Richfield Pizza Luce. Their whole front parking lot along 66th Street was completely taken up by bike racks, and probably 100 plus bikes parked there. So pretty cool.
All right. Councilmember Burke.
I want to extend thanks to the city clerk because she came out to the last Human Rights Commission meeting and did a really thorough presentation on election laws and how elections are done in Richfield. So I want to thank you very much on behalf of the Human Rights Commission.
Thank you. So tomorrow, we are having the summer kickoff at City Hall. It was formerly known as the State of the Community. It's Wednesday, June 10th from 5 to 7, and it's going to be here in the Municipal Center and Heredia Park if the weather holds. Otherwise, it'll be inside the building. The event is free and will happen rain or shine, as I mentioned. Stop by for free ice cream treats, music, community partner resource fair, city info tables, the Happy Jolly Llamas, Bubbles with the Baron of Bubbles, and then I will give a message about the state of the community at 6 p.m. So bring the kids, bring your neighbors, and kick off the summer with us. I also want to congratulate all of the graduates and all of the students and educators who just finished their school year and are moving on to their adventures of summer. And then finally, I want to do a thank you to Fraser School. They invited me to come tour their facilities, and it was really, really impressive. So that was pretty fun. At this point, we are going to move into a closed session. Council is moving into a closed session meeting in the Babcock Room for the purpose of conducting a performance evaluation of City Manager Katie Rodriguez. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 13D.05, Subdivision 3A. Can I get a motion to recess for the closed session meeting?
I move to recess the regular meeting and move into the closed session meeting.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. So we will go into our closed session, and then we'll come back here to report out and close out the formal meeting. Thank you. It says on the air. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. Council will now reconvene the regular meeting at 9:13 PM. The council met in closed session to conduct the performance evaluation of City Manager Rodriguez pursuant to the Minnesota Statutes, Section 13.05, Subdivision 3A. The council will hold another closed session performance evaluation meeting on June 16th, 2026, and as required by law, will provide a summary of the performance evaluation at the June 23rd, 2026 regular council meeting. All right. So is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned.